Hi everyone. Very good afternoon. So, do we have all our panelists here?
Nisha
I
here.
could see Nisha. Hi Nisha. Hi.
I'm here, Ashwini here.
Hi Ashwini. Can we have Priya, Rasika,
Hi,
and
this is
Neha?
Rasika here.
Hi Rasika. How are you?
I'm good, Gauri. How are you doing?
Good. Neha, are you here with us? Pooja?
Yes.
All
Hi.
right. Hi. Hi. Can we have Pooja also, please?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, great. A very warm welcome and a good afternoon to everyone, to all our panelists. And let's get quickly started on this thing. I was too excited. I could hardly sleep the entire night. Was thinking of just having a casual discussions with all the women around. So let's begin with our first question, and this goes over to, I believe, Nisha, which says it's always tough to begin your own business. What made you take that leap? So let's begin with Nisha and let's have that kind of a discussion. And anyone who would want to put their point can raise a hand and we can just take it away from there. Yeah.
Sure. Thanks, Gauri. And yes, I agree. It is a very tough call and a tough decision to make when you do decide to start something on your own.
Yeah.
And this is not to take away from people who are there in the corporate world, and because they're doing their job really well too. But I think at the end of the day, it is about what you really want to do and what is the legacy you want to leave behind. In my case specifically, I think given that I'm in advertising and I started an advertising agency, having worked with a lot of the multinationals, you realize that there were very few agencies that were focusing on Indian clients and their requirements.
Okay.
And we felt at that time that there was a space for something like that, and one that could cater to Indian clients and give them solutions that are specific to the Indian market, understand the Indian consumers. That is one. And secondly, you want to create a space or a company or an organization that really reflects your cultures and your values, and
Correct.
is true to that in every sense. And that is
Yeah.
something that in the last 7.5 years that I've been on this journey, we've tried to do. So it is about what you want to leave behind, what is the kind of space you want to create, what is the kind of people you want to work with. Those are choices you often don't get when you're in the corporate world. And
Correct. And that actually leads to a kind of aspirational setup which people would like to follow and would look up to you as leaders.
I hope so.
Correct? Yeah. Ashwini, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah,
Thanks,
so
Nisha.
thanks, Gauri, and it's great to be with all of you here. I think I'll take two parts. First one is about how I got into something of my own. And I'm talking about the year 1989 when there was nothing called the business of design. And design was not even considered a profession that exists.
Correct.
So when I was trained to be a designer and I had done my few internships in very conventional communication agencies, I
Mhm.
realized that I was actually trained to do more than that.
Hmm.
And looking around, where do I apply? There was nowhere to apply. So I call us accidental entrepreneurs purely because there was no choice. We started something of our own. But I believe
Uh-huh.
we did become pioneers. We did become the torchbearers for design profession in India. And we are probably one of the longest standing, largest independent design consultancies today. And I feel very happy when I look back at 32 years and many more agencies coming up. That was first part, but second part is about when is the right time, like when do you decide what's the right time. For me it just happened. But I now work with an organization called the Indus Entrepreneurs, and we mentor a lot of startups there. And I realized that the best time to start something is when you have a great idea that solves the genuine problem.
Correct.
So either a new problem being solved by a new idea, or an old problem being solved by a new idea which is better, or an old idea being repurposed for solving a new problem. So I think if you
Correct.
have any of these, that's the right time to start. And there's no perfect ideal day. I think some of you who are entrepreneurs yourselves, you would know that there's no ideal day. It's when you feel ready and just You have to go for it that time.
Correct. It's just, yeah, it's a feeling. It's that gut that this is the time when you should get started with. Wonderful. I think right.
I'm,
Not breaking
I'm
the context here. Yeah,
Ashwini,
Nisha. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of your work, and it's people like you that's inspired us to start off. So,
Ashwini definitely is a remarkable leader. In fact, people like me who've just recently got into the plunge of entrepreneurship look up to leaders like Ashwini. And now, not breaking the thread here, wherein Nisha started off with her journey and gave us a nice overview along with Ashwini. I would want my next question to be for Rasika. Do you think that it is any easier to start a business today than say a decade ago, like what Ashwini mentioned? Would you like to add here?
I definitely think it is much easier to start business today for like very very sharp reasons, right? And more so as a woman as well. I think COVID has created this massive opportunity for organizations, especially in India, to realize that women can work from home. I'm just hoping, however, it was fabulous because we used to say kudos to all the moms that we cater to because they were managing multiple roles. I mean, we are great at multitasking, and there's no doubt about that. But managing children who are doing online school and being in meetings all day, and there was a point when there was no help at home. And in spite of them, when they put their best foot forward and they proved their merit to their organization, they got the platform to showcase to them. And there were a whole lot of other non-women folks sitting at home, so they realized what their women counterparts had to go through while they were at home. So I think that's created a huge level of realization for them. And women have got this opportunity that where some of them do not have the chance to go out of their house, they can still take up significant roles and prove themselves there. Along with that, I also feel that women have a very good creative surge. As a result, today's social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and even YouTube, like all these content creation platforms, they give many business opportunities. So when somebody comes up with an idea, they don't require, women usually fall short of capital, or the
Correct.
family supporting them in giving, saying that like, yeah, we have X amount of money, but we are not ready to pitch in that capital for you to start business. And today they do not require their support. They can prove their product metal or do their business plan just by scaling it and through the consumers that they meet online. Lastly, I also feel one of the reasons things are much easier today is because women get to exhibit their own work through their own voice on these platforms, which becomes a big boost. Like, for that matter, even if you look at a board, right? Like, if there is a mandatory to have a woman on the board, there is a mandatory to have a woman on a panel, there
Correct.
is a mandatory to have X amount of diversity in the company. Today, it feels very organic, but I think it's so because over the last couple of years, these mandates have been implied. And yeah, I think it's definitely times have changed and better times to come.
Definitely, and I think we are just looking for a much brighter and prospective year. 21 has come up with new resolutions and new wish, and let's look at the entrepreneurship that ways how women are trending up in this kind of field also.
Yeah.
Neha, would you want to share your thoughts on the same question? Would you want me to repeat the question again for you?
Uh, no, that's fine. On how it is easier now to start. I mean, I've
Yeah.
answered it already that it definitely is easier now than it was a decade before. And in fact, incidentally, because you put the time duration of the decade was a decade back was when we started to think on whether we should get started on the
We were
idea that
kids,
we had.
yeah. A decade back, we were kids.
Well, who says we aren't still, but but yes, I definitely agree with Rasika, and more than COVID, I think internet I think has been a big equalizer
Correct.
over the last decade. It's with one laptop sitting anywhere in the world today, a girl can change her life and can get started. The true talent is what counts. It's like a democracy. right? So you've people will vote you in or vote out, and there is no other bias that is really standing in your way. By and large, of course, realities will still intervene. But I think, yes, definitely from policy perspective, when it comes to vote seat, or in fact, even celebration of entrepreneurship, and more than that, women entrepreneurship in media, like this panel, is also, I think, helping out. Where the hesitation and it's easier to take that first step, because earlier only mad people, I think, like when Ashwini said accidental entrepreneurship, you just went and did
Nice.
it.
Correct.
But today it's also a viable career option. So it's not, it's definitely one of the few career paths. Earlier it was, seen like as it was sort of, you were disrupting your life. Today also you disrupt your life, but I think career wise it's far better situation.
Okay, I would just kind of add that as a phrase, that I think we are evolving by, rather than, yes, we are disrupting the lives of men if they feel that they have inferiority complexes from us, definitely. But I think we are evolving, and that's the kind of confidence what our we get from our family, from the support. And just adding to the point what Rasika mentioned, definitely the multitasking bit of a woman came into a true phase in this COVID. So there were kids around. There were. I'm a pet parent also. I have two pets. They were more happy to find me around here at home.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
no, so all kind of things were happening, and I think for our good. So we move to our next panelist and our next question. Pooja, it's for you. What women and entrepreneurs can bring a lot of social change? We've been talking about this. So if more women are encouraged and empowered, obviously we can boost up the self-esteem, the self-confidence, and an overall a well-being of that particular woman, environment, and the ecosystem. This should encourage other women to follow. What do you say? Do you think that it is a must tried or must go kind of a thing, and people should look up to women entrepreneurs? Over to you,
So,
Pooja.
yeah. Hi, everyone.
Hi,
So I
hi,
feel,
everyone.
yeah. So I feel, when we are sailing in this together, and when women actually, so women have the power to inspire and empower others. So, if
Correct.
we are all in this circuit together, because, whenever you have a guilt trip yourself, when you're not able to manage a lot of things, so you don't go, you talk to your women counterparts and you ask them, okay, so this is how I'm feeling, and you feel better when they tell you about their stories and how they deal with it. So
Correct.
you kind of feel that support system. So sometimes, women's best colleagues in that aspect of it, and I definitely see that as an opportunity. And it's not just about how they are going to work and how is it that camaraderie has to be built up. The main important aspect is that it's an aspiration and it's an inspiration when we build it together. A lot of women forums, if you see, and networking forums have come up in real estate, only because of the fact that yes, that kind of a comfort we need from each other. And yes, it is important and imperative for women to come at the forefront and not just boost the entire setup of the entrepreneurial setup, but even the economy. So that jump has to come, and I think women should be able to become
So,
that front runners. Yes.
right. So, Pooja, from on the context of you taking care of Media Mantra, how do you think
Yes.
that has benefited you across your career journey in Media Mantra itself? And what's the kind of woman workforce you have, since you are a woman leader, and you definitely would be,
So,
we would want to know that.
yeah, so Gauri, thankfully the communication sector has a lot of women, but
Correct.
representation of women at top leader is that still has to go a very long way. So I will not say that the representation at the top leader is a lot, but yes, as far as work staff is concerned, even for us as an organization, we have maximum women who are working here. At least there is 75% ratio, and that is women. So I'm saying communication industry does have,
Wonderful. Yeah.
but yeah, more representation at the top has to come up.
Gauri, I would like to add, because I have a personal experience on the
Sure.
social
Sure, Neha.
change.
Yeah, I was coming to you on this. Yeah. Tell me,
Okay.
please.
All right. So, well, I grew up in a progressive household, lots of opportunities, etc. So even if in jobs people ask me questions like, when will you get married, or what are your plans of having kids, it didn't bother me. I mean, I'd become used to it. I didn't see it as a bias. But when we started with Clovia, and my own HR team came to me during recruitment and said that for these positions, HODs, head of departments, are refusing to interview women candidates because they feel that they will not put in enough time, or they will or there was so much gender bias that has been deep rooted in our system for so long. And I came face to face, and it was like an eye changing, or like a complete change for me. And I realized it's not just men who are discriminating against women, it was also women bosses who were saying the exact same thing. I don't want women in my team because, or a girl in age group of 25 to 26, she'll get married or go on maternity leave. So that's one change we completely, I mean, I think that's where it helped that I was in the driving seat, where I said there will be absolutely zero bias. Tell the girl she'll have to work hard, or she'll have to go in the force, in the field. She'll be part of the field force. If then she says no, that's fine, but give her an equal chance. I mean, give her time of your day, because she may even perform better. So that's one big I think change. Small big change is what I would probably term it as. It seems small,
Correct.
but it was a big
Because these
change.
biasnesses are there in the society. In
Yeah.
fact, I'm sure everyone would be driving, and we are cursed to be like women drivers are the worst. I've been driving from last 18 years, and but still, my father-in-law doesn't want to sit beside me. He will always take a back seat. However, my mother-in-law would support me and sit here. So I'm just telling that's a mindset which is there in the society, that women drivers and this thing. I think Rasika also mentioned a point that there is a disconnect when funds needs to be given to a companies, to a woman entrepreneur. So that needs a lot of courage, and I think we are changing for the good. India, as per se, the society itself is changing. Nisha, would you like to add something on the same your viewpoint on the same question? Thanks, Pooja. Sorry, thanks, Neha. Pooja. Yeah.
Sorry, hi, can you hear me now?
Hi. Yes, yes.
So I agree the biases exist, and it is, and I also agree with what Pooja was saying, that especially in the communications business, you'll find enough women out there represented at the junior and mid levels, but it is at the senior levels where there's a dearth. And while of course you need to give them a chance, and once they prove themselves, the opportunity is there. I also believe women are different. You know, women do have biological and physical requirements. They do need to, they do bear children. They do go on maternity leave. And post that, they do nurture the children. So, as organizations, can we create an ecosystem which provides them or which supports them so that they can continue? Because most of it, at least in the communications business, I've seen most of the dropouts happens after they have children. It's not when they get married,
Correct.
it's not for anything else, but it is only post children that a lot of very very talented women decide to take a break. Can we create an atmosphere that they can continue working during that? And B, more importantly, even if they have decided to take the break, can we have opportunities for them after they want to come back? you know so I think we
Hmm.
need to take cognizance of the fact that yes, they are different, and they do
Def-
have their requirements, and as organizations, how can we support them?
Correct. Because I would just add here that getting married, having a baby, having a successful married life along with your professional life is not a taboo for women.
Yes.
Women can multitaskingly handle that very well. And just to mention here that I've seen many MNCs like Microsoft, Infosys, Capgemini, these guys provide you with maternity benefits as well as a baby crash where you can leave your kid there and work and concentrate on your work. I have in
You
my
know,
career yeah.
startups, comparing startups to Capgemini may not be, I think you all would remember that time 3 years back, is it, when maternity leave was, government changed it from 3 months to mandatory 6 months.
Hmm.
And there was a lot of conversation in everyone's office, with a lot of people, just sort of hating it. And it was thought that it's going to impact women's employability
No,
also. And I think it must
what
have.
But Neha, if I
Neha,
can
what I meant
add,
from my point is that for the good, the times are changing, and even the entrepreneurs who are women entrepreneurs, they have faced this problem. So they are setting up so that they can get their kids and they can actually offer this to other. I have a couple of
Yeah.
friends who are there. Yes, yes, Nisha, Ashwini, I'll come to you.
I was just adding, Neha, that a year
Huh,
back we thought it was impossible for us to work from home, right?
Yeah.
correct,
Yeah, you
correct,
had to get up in the morning and dress up and go to
Yeah.
office. And you felt that if you haven't done that superwoman job of 10 hours or 12 hours and then come, it was impossible. But circumstances
huh,
have taught us that it is extremely possible. Probably it's even better. It is far more efficient. So I think
Yeah.
it's mindset change. If we are okay with, if women are okay to work from home, and that's an option that organizations can provide.
Yeah.
So there can be things worked out depending on
why
individual
not? Yeah,
and their requirements.
correct, correct.
Yeah.
Because the efforts are put in largely. Ashwini, would you like to add your viewpoint here?
Yeah, I think we have to think of something a little different one fundamentally, and I think all of you are probably from next or the next generation compared to me. But I want to go back to how it was when I was raising my son, and I work with my husband. He's a co-founder of Elephant, and we used to leave our son in the creche. And
Hmm.
a lot of times, my husband would be asked, "Oh, your son goes to a creche because Ashwini works." So he used to say, "No, he goes to a creche because both of us work." And I think it just cannot be taken for granted that women have to have this whole
Just take
responsibility
care,
of
stay
having
back
the
and
crèche
take care
next
of
to their
family.
office. It is,
Hmm.
I think we have to fundamentally change the way we look at raising children, and
That's yeah,
see how shared responsibilities come to us naturally and not as a forced or modern thought or any such thing. I think we should have come a long way. And there are
correct.
creches next to men's offices as well, and they have to avail of those. And I think we have to think of this problem not as a woman's problem, and I guess that's the
Yeah.
fundamental change that
Yeah.
needs to happen.
Correct. Correct. Absolutely. So, Ashwini, I think I'll have a next set of question for you here. As a woman, were you in a better position to identify the product or market fit compared to your male peers? And you mentioned that your male peer was your husband. So, I think is it a difficult question to be answered?
No, it's not a difficult question at all because I have only worked in this situation and I don't know any other comparison. So
Huh.
it's perfectly fine. But I think what really matters for a perfect market fit is what kind of empathy you have for the user. It doesn't matter
Hmm.
if you are a man or a woman, but I think as long as all of us, and it's believed that women have better empathy. I don't know if there is any statistics or anything that proves that, but probably it's somewhat tilted. And I think women probably are able to reach out to their empathetic selves a little more easily, and therefore they're able to figure a market fit for certain kind of brands or products or services a little differently. But I don't think it's so much about the gender. I think it's much more about how aligned you feel to your users or whoever you're working for as a
Women,
media or a creative professional.
correct. Woman comes with that EQ kind of a more than an IQ. I think EQ is also very well balanced along with the IQ setup. So it's much more easier to understand what your customer desires or even as being a people's person. So I think they are a best fit here.
I feel it's,
Anyone from the
I
panel?
also feel it's easier for women to show or express or demonstrate empathy. Probably
Hmm.
men feel it too, but it's not that easy for them to demonstrate it verbally or through
Correct,
actions or
correct.
gestures. And I guess we have to make the most of what we have. If it's our advantage, then yeah, so be it.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Well said, well said. Anyone else would like to add on this, on the same question, or should we move forward?
What can I say when my business is all about women lingerie?
I know. And it's a good one. In fact, I have been using it. It's a good one.
Thank you
So,
so much.
okay, so we move to Rasika now. Rasika, there is an effort being made to make the corporate sector more equitable. Do you think that we should encourage more women to begin entrepreneurship? And what are your thoughts on this?
So I think absolutely. I think we must encourage more women to enter into entrepreneurship. One of the main reasons is because I think I have two male co-founders, and they will say this to me without any qualms. So I'll be like, no, I can do this, and I can do this, and I can do that. They're like, we agree we can't do what you can do. You need to understand we can't do this, And they say like, so can you please take care of it? Because we are not able to envision what you do. And which clearly signifies the fact that, more women entering into this industry is very, very important. And I think, in fact, I was just talking to my co-founder the other day, and with the latest association that Soulful has got into, where we can look at bigger horizons, I think something that I would like to do in the future is actually create maybe small seed funds which could give women an opportunity to raise little capital, and they could utilize their capital. Somebody could educate them on how they can, because women are also little risk averse when it comes to money, just because of the way they are brought up, right? So they're so used to depending on either their father or their in-laws or their husband in doing their financial planning. So they're a little bit risk averse on this whole loan front. But if somebody can educate them, that risk capital is fine to take. And you can actually do wonders with it and guide them through the whole piece. And there are so many women like us who can put down a panel for various expertise and who could coach them. We are more than happy. And I've seen this, like my male counterparts, like my co-founders, if somebody calls them to say, you guys went through this, can I please talk to you for some mentorship? Not that they don't want to do it, but they just cannot get their mind together how they find to do it. But I've always seen women in my organization, they'll be like, of course, yes, let's do it today. I'll figure a time slot out. Why not 9:30 in the night after my children go to sleep? And they will, because they are far more empathetic that way and they want to help. So I feel as a cohort, we have the best resources to tap into. That being said, I also feel another reason women should definitely start a lot more businesses, because like Ashwini said, we need to state examples to our children the way we bring them up. And that is where we bring about a fundamental change. And when my kids see me go to work, and also when you become an entrepreneur, there is a little amount of flexibility that you can create in your business. So you get financial independence, you get flexibility, you're able to scale yourself at your own pace, which is not a problem. And we have various kind of talents that we can kind of, pool into. And I have two daughters, 8 and 4, and they don't even understand another world where their mother doesn't work. And they'll ask me every day, Mama, what time will you come back from office? Or, they only believe in this, and they are so proud of me to do that because that's their way of life. And the other day, my daughter came and told me that her teacher asked that, can you tell me who makes the yummiest food at home? And my daughter says, Krishna Bhaiya makes the yummiest food at home. So the teacher asked her, doesn't your mama make it? She said, my mama goes to work. She makes soulful, which everybody else eats. So that was like that. Yeah, and that's something which she has learned on her own. So I think definitely, and more women in the industry, we can have much more efficiently run, well thought through processes. And trust me, we can cut the employee expense by maybe 30%. That might affect the global economy, because what 3 people can do, a woman can manage on her own. So yes, for sure.
Manage and all. Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
for example,
I think that's a wonderful way.
Have you ever seen an MD CEO get a male EA? Very few. He will always try to get a female EA because he knows nobody can handle his calendar better than what she will. Yeah,
correct. Absolutely correct. And I think there's a viewpoint that a woman empowers a woman. So I think it's always good to keep empowering right from the top to the bottom. And you'll see a lot of remarkable changes also. I think definitely a woman leader who is leading at a good MNC or an agency has different this thing. We have Indra Noor, we have so many people. Yeah.
What is remarkable, and I think you even see that in a lot of ads that you see today, whatever is visual depiction of what happens in society, today's generation women actually support other women. It was the previous generation women who were not supporting peer women for whatever reasons. I'm sure it's easy to comment, but each one's to their own, and opportunities would have been different. But today, women in the workplace really support each other, and they're very cognizant about the whole thing. So I think we have a much more beautiful tomorrow to look forward to.
Absolutely, definitely. Neha, would you like to add your viewpoint on this?
Just if you can just tell me the question once again.
Sure. So it's there is an effort to make effort being made to make the corporate sector more equitable. Do you think that we should encourage more women to begin entrepreneurship?
Well, I think, if the question is more around entrepreneurship versus corporate world for women, I feel entrepreneurship is, isn't it's in your mind. It's a way of mind. So I was working in corporate, and I think I worked even harder in the beginning of my career. And today I still have some sort of some semblance of work-life balance. So, but I think what, yes, all corporate, all offices, all workplaces must make sure is to create an environment where it is easier for women to work. So, for example, at Clovia, we have a very, instead of going for a very sort of a startup and, glamorous kind of culture, we went for a very warm family kind of culture. I mean, that's one thought that as a founder you have in the beginning on how, what sort of culture you are going to have in office. So, for example,
Correct.
children are always welcome in our office. We may not have a separate creche or anything right
That's
now,
so interesting.
but that's it. So summer holidays and winter holidays, when there is no school and there's no childcare, so there kids are always there. Our parties are always friends and family, so that women have that option to bring in their families and their kids, and it's otherwise they don't attend. Otherwise, they're never part of those
Right.
trips and tours, and it's difficult for them. So even any outgoing retreats, etc., outside retreats, children and family are invited. So
Correct.
those are small measures we make sure to the make that like Nisha said, that talent usually checks out after childhood or after motherhood. So that's one thing we try and sort of manage.
Right, correct. Good. I think that was really nice to hear both your and Rasika's point of view. Pooja, would you like to add on this by saying that do you believe that the current policies, I think Mr. Modi, the Prime Minister, he announced that there's a lot of aid which are going to be given to entrepreneurs, largely to the SMEs and stuff, and they would be the believe in policy change which is affecting the encouraging women to get into entrepreneurial journey. Would you have your thoughts here on this one?
So I think, Gauri, definitely that push and that leverage just gives that that flexibility and that option that yes, financial restrictions will not be there for you. So you
Hmm.
can think of any other idea, or you can start working on your business or whatever it is, but it is usually
Correct.
you're stuck upon finances. I think everybody else is also agreeing on that. So I'm saying that if that aspect is taken care of, or there is flexibility exercise there, then definitely there is. And you look at how the pandemic pause has happened, and owing to that, there are a lot of women who started culling out their different business models. How many of them have actually even started becoming home bakers, so many other ventures they've started from their home, and they've started selling it on online platforms and everything. WhatsApp groups were made. So I'm saying this is all an encouragement, and people are really appreciating this initiative for women. So definitely this push will
Correct.
be taken, and it should be taken in the best capacity that I think people should utilize it.
Positive and encouraging way forward, I believe. My next question would be to the panelists Nisha and Ashwini. If you're starting your business after leaving your corporate career and you have to start from ground zero, how do you get to your foot in the door? Ashwini? Nisha, would you want to start? And then we can move to Ashwini.
I didn't. I just. Ashwini, you want to go?
Sorry? Ashwini, you want to
Go
go
ahead,
first?
Nisha. Yeah, no, go ahead, Nisha.
All right. Okay. So yes, it is. It is extremely, I think, difficult, because what happens is when you're in a corporate job, there are a lot of perks that come automatically. You're used to departments.
Correct.
You're used to people. You're used to So I was heading organization before I started my own agency, and you had departments. You had a finance department. You had an HR department. You had an admin department. And you could just farm out the different jobs that were there. A that B, the organization comes with its own legacy and comes with its own name, and a lot of people came to you because of the organization and not necessarily you. You unfortunately start believing it is you that people are coming for and not the organization. But I think once you start off on your own is when you are starting from ground zero, and that's when you need to really create your credentials from day one. And the first thing that happens, I noticed, is the phone stops ringing. you know and you have to go out there, reintroduce yourself, talk about your credentials. But people really want to know what this organization has to offer, because they would credit everything that you've done in the past to the organization rather than you. So you really have to start
Correct.
afresh, and at the end of the day, I think it is your work that will matter, the product that you're going to put out there. So I think the first couple of years, the only focus you need to have is the kind of product you're going to put out there and the kind of work you're going to create, because that is what's going to get people to give you the business. Your network could get you a foot into the door, but actual business will only translate once they see your work. Ashwini?
Correct. Ashwini, what's
Yeah,
your thoughts on
sure.
this?
Actually, we have two excellent entrepreneurs here. So Neha and Rasika are right here, and I guess they can tell us how to get the foot in the door for larger things like VC and so on. But I think what's extremely important, I would say this once again, and I'm also saying it because it is generally believed that women speak too much. That you need to get your elevator pitch in place. And very, very often I see people explaining their ideas in a very, very loose, a long drawn manner, barely keeping the interest of the person who is listening. So we have to get our elevator pitch so crisp that your clarity of idea, your conviction, your passion, your execution skills all have to shine through in that whatever few seconds that you'll prepare your pitch in. And I think that's so whatever women entrepreneurs I have seen on various panels through either being on the investor side or being with TIE or being with other associations. It's I think that's the part that I've seen a little weak. Women are not as crisp. Another thing is women don't speak a lot about themselves, even though they have excellent qualities. So they're very shy of praising themselves or talking well of themselves. So I think we have to come out of that shell and give ourselves the due that we actually are good for. Women
That's
don't
always the
tend to
case.
do that. Yeah, women
Yeah,
don't
that's
tend to
always
do
the
that.
case. When we sit
They,
for appraisals also, we are loss of words.
absolutely. There's
It's
too much
always
modesty going around, and that doesn't help at all when you go in front of an investor. So I
correct.
think we have to let go of those and just enter with more brevity. But I think
Correct.
Neha and Rasika should be able to tell us more.
What are your thoughts on this?
So, yes, so I like Ashwini said, it's very important to be able to present your idea very clearly with a viable business plan if funds is what you're looking at right away in the start. But other than that, I think my advice to people would be to have a minimum viable product going, before you start to speak with investors. Because I meet a lot of people who start with concept of that I will raise funds and then I will get started, and that becomes the first block, and it's not an easy step to conquer, and then you can just blame it that that didn't happen. But I
Correct.
think it's important to first maybe have two business plans. First business plan is when you do not raise any fund, and you whatever small, even if it's in thousands money that you can input behind, what is it that you can do out of it, and you it should be able to get started with that, and then from there on you can think about raising funds.
I believe it's more on practical and sorry. So
Yeah.
we talk about ye hoga, kal ko ye hoga. So giving the future plans, it's better that we start something, get
Yeah.
into that level, and then go and pitch so that you have larger say in front of the investors.
Yeah, and
Rasika,
better,
your thoughts on
yeah, and you can also present then your idea better.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And you
So,
obviously can demand a stake, and you can always talk on that kind of a stake. If you're looking at starting from scratch and then reaching out to investors, so then it's a
Yeah, of
difficult.
course. Valuation will be different, yes.
So, from what I have seen from my own experience, in fact, it's a little contrary because we went to raise money our second round in 2019, and well, I mean, we all know the VC journey, the PE journey, right? I mean, it's a
Hmm,
journey by itself. I mean, that can be spoken about for hours. However, what I
hmm,
realized was there are many PE funds and family
hmm,
business houses who actually have a mandate that they need to invest in women-run businesses. So I think the
hmm,
first step is to identify your TG where you have preference over somebody else. That's point number one.
hmm.
Secondly, what
Correct.
I found is a huge advantage. So there was a point where they would put me in the front and say, Rasika, you talk. And I was like, okay. And that was a time when I realized that when I would go and speak to VC and PE funds, they would definitely be listening to me. So my content would be crisp, that I know I have 30 minutes to get them, cued into my topic. And I would pay all, I would just make sure I would go well prepared and they would be listening. So at the end of the day, delivery is what matters. Thirdly, also, I feel that a lot of these, having a mentor, okay, it doesn't, whatever business you're in, if you have a right mentor who can guide you at every single step, you go with a lot more confidence, with a lot more finesse. So irrespective of who's on the other end, the moment you understand your TG well, then your delivery is also customized to that front. So I would definitely tell you one thing, being a woman, if see you only do a business or you have a business plan that you can deliver, and hence you are in this business, right? Like for example, I had marketing, my counterpart had sales. I know for a fact if I decide to today say no, I am going to head the entire sales and take on the buying industry of all the retail chains in India, I'm being stupid. Like, there's only that much change that I can do. But if I'm going to say I'm going to do something that I know well, then I am going to make an impact. So I think if you just keep these points in mind, today things have really opened up and women have preference. Government aid, I do not know. I haven't seen it come even in the MSME sector. So let's not, I think it takes a lot of time for all of that to hit the table. I'm sure it will at some point in time, but it's too much hard work and not in an agile environment like a startup. It's, you don't have the bandwidth to kind of go behind that. But definitely there's hope in the VC world.
Yeah. Thank you, Rasika. I think that was very well covered. So my last question, since we are just high on time, is to all the panelists. What would be your advice to women entering entrepreneurship? Anyone who would want to start first? And we have to just wrap this up quickly. I believe 1 minute each.
So I'll go first, Gauri.
Yes, Pooja?
Yeah. So I think my advice would be that look for your support system, have that intact, and you do not need to be 100% everywhere. Even I think 90% really works well. So have your support system right. So that's my advice to anyone who enters entrepreneurship.
Neha? Rastika, you want to say something?
So I think I have, 3 things that somebody told me when we began our journey. One is find yourself a partner, extremely important, because you need somebody to share the load. You want somebody to be there on the lowest days of your life. And only when you get empathy, then it's easier to get up the next day. Secondly, make sure your bread and butter is assured, because first 1 year, there should be no reason that you will have to wind up the business. So your kitchen is running and there's basic bread butter taken care of, and you can focus on at least giving 1 year to make this idea a success. Lastly, have a product which has a very, very clear differentiation. It has to have a differentiation. It cannot be a me too, which is one of the, I think it's a key success for any startup or any business for that matter. And then there's nothing stopping you. Just jump. Don't look at other surrogates, how well they did, how well they didn't do. Just jump into it. It's a beautiful journey and you will definitely come out as a winner, because hard work pays off for sure.
Yeah. Neha, over to you.
Okay. Even though I hate thinking of, women entrepreneur as a woman and not just an entrepreneur, but for the purpose of this panel, this is specifically for women in entrepreneurship. Do not go on a guilt trip. And that's one thing which will keep happening to you again and again, especially if you are also a mother. So just don't go on a guilt trip, except that you will not be able to give 100% to your kids and home. That's fine. They will survive.
Correct. Ashwini, Neha, who would go first? Sorry, Ashwini and Nisha.
Nisha, you want to go?
Sure. So I think I have 2 things to say. One is that I think adding to what Neha just said, that we are not super women. We don't need to try and be super women. Let's just be women, and that's good enough. So we can't be at every place at every time. Let's accept that and get all the help that you can and use it. There's no harm in using that. The second is, I don't think we should enter thinking with a bias that we are in some way at a disadvantage. We are not women in a man's world. We are in our own world. It's your world. And you are probably, chances are, better than your male counterpart. So don't begin with a mindset of a disadvantage. Go in there confident, and there's no way you won't be successful. Ashwini?
Yeah, these are all amazing gems, and I wish I had heard all these when we started out. But yeah, so what I want to really say in the end is, there is a reason why you become an entrepreneur. There is a big picture in your mind, and a lot of detours and aberrations will happen along the way. But as long as you keep track of what your big picture was, I think you'll be in a good space. Also, women sometimes tend to think less of themselves when it comes to the big picture. But I think there's Nisha already put it so well that we shouldn't be getting into it with that mindset. So yeah, the big picture, keep track of it, and remember why you started it all on a bad
Correct.
day, especially. So yeah.
Thanks, Ashwini. I think just to add my 2 cents to that, that we are very bad at delegating jobs. We should get into that. Just adding to what Neha said, that sab kuch, leave everything to others also. Let them also do their jobs. And more from corporate getting into entrepreneurship, do not park all your eggs in one basket. Just try to keep doing things simultaneously so that your movement of daily bread butter is also working, what adding to Rasika what she mentioned. And thirdly is just believe in yourself, that I'm the best. If you treat yourself best, if you are proud yourself, you are going to create wonders. So I think with this, we would like to end the session. It was a wonderful session. I wish this is my favorite topic, and I wish we could continue on and on. And I know Bijoya would get upset because it's going to be a seamless transition to the next panel. Wonderful to have all women leaders on the panel, and such an exciting afternoon it was. Thank
And
you
Thank you
Gauri,
so
I
very
much.
must
much.
say,
Thank you.
Thank you, Gauri.
but
Thank
Gauri,
you.
you did a fabulous job. And I think you have moderated so many women all together so well. And I think nobody better than you to do an elevator pitch for us. So thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much
much.
for that.
Yeah,
Thanks, team.
thanks, Gauri.
Thank you so much, Rasika.
Bye.
And I think, yeah, let's all be in touch, all women, women for women. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day.
Thanks,
All
everyone.
right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.